Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newtown Township Board of Supervisors meeting for January 27th, 2021, again via Zoom, as we have been doing since this pandemic. We will have a moment of silence, but I would just ask for you to remember all those that have been affected by this horrible virus and their families, and those on the front lines, the doctors, nurses, EMTs, police, fire, all who answer their call to duty unselfishly. And those everyday important essential workers, the garbage collectors, supermarket workers, food servers, just to name a few. And here in our township, our management and our administrative staff, along with the Public Works Department, together, they keep our township running. Let's support our local businesses the best we can, and remember to tip those who serve us graciously. Most of all, let's treat people with great kindness and respect, and together as a community, we will be stronger when this is all over. If we would just bow our heads for a moment. Recite the Pledge of Allegiance with the board. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Lewis, any changes or additions to the agenda tonight?
There are no changes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. No special actions. We will go into our first session of public comment. And let me just remind everybody, this is public comment, not question and answers or debate. So anyone that has a public comment, I think at the bottom of the screens, I know I have something called reactions. I don't know if everyone else out there does. And in some cases, it does have a raised hand. But if not, oh, there you go. I see one there. If not, if you don't have a raised hand, I think there's a thumbs up or so, just some sort of indication that you want to make a public comment. So I see Andrea Ahern. You're up. Just take yourself off mute. There you go.
Good evening. Thanks for the time, Mr. Calabro. Just a quick question. I wanted to follow up. I had posed a question to the board at the last meeting in reference to the board's appetite to potentially participate in sharing some of the legal fees as we continue to fight the Arcadia project. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a homeowner in Eagle Ridge, so this obviously affects me. So I just wanted to see at that time, I think that where we left it, Mr. Sander was going to reach out to Mr. Harris and begin a conversation, and then potentially the township supervisors are going to connect with the individual HOAs.
Okay, well, we'll take that as a comment because it's not a question and answer period, but that's
sorry.
okay because I think we do have that. Do we have that on the agenda tonight in some manner, Mr. Sander? I'll ask.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. There is a tabled motion that will be, at least it's on the agenda as a tabled motion under my report.
Okay, so it'll come up later. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none. We have no minor approvals, no public hearing. Reports of committees, boards, and commissions. I see Mr. Fiddler out there from the Planning Commission.
Yes, thanks, Phil. I'm here to give you a quick synopsis of our January 19, 2021 meeting. We had zoning, well, we did have reorganization. Again, I'm serving as chair, Peggy Driscoll, vice chair, Mary Donaldson as secretary treasurer. We had 3 zoning hearing board applications. The first was for Joseph and Rita DeLuca at 550 Lafayette Street. The commission reviewed this application for variances and a special exception for impervious surface of 28.39%, where 13% is the maximum. A 40-foot front yard setback where 50 feet is required, and a 58-foot distance between buildings where 60 feet is required to raise the existing structure and construct a new single-family home of 2,800 square feet. The home is one of only 3 located in the township that is surrounded by the Newtown Borough. And a portion of the subject property's front yard is actually located in the borough. The proposed new home does meet the performance standards for its borough's neighbors. It does predate the ordinance and is similar in footprint and setbacks to the home to be raised. The commission recommended that the Board of Supervisors not oppose this application, and we did advise the applicant to provide photos of the neighboring improved properties and an overlay of the new footprint over the existing. The second one was for Michael and Cynthia French at 405 Marion Drive. The commission reviewed an application for increased impervious surface of 25.4%, where 12% is the maximum, to install an in-ground swimming pool. The home predates the current ordinance, and similar variances have been granted for other Marion Drive neighbors. The plan includes adequate stormwater mitigation, and the commission again recommended that the board not oppose this application. The third application did take quite a bit of time. It was for doggy days. This is to take place on 8 Pheasant Run. Here the applicant is seeking a use variance for the use A5 kennel and a number of performance standard variances for doggy daycare and boarding kennel. The use is different than a typical kennel with outdoor fencing, play area, indoor play areas, and rooms for overnight boarding. Much of the business is daycare with drop off in the morning and pickup in the evening. There are typically about 40 dogs, but the facility can accommodate up to 120 dogs, which the applicant indicated is very rare. The commission had a number of concerns best addressed by an engineer concerning parking and circulation in the parking lot. The proposed materials used for the fit out should mitigate any excessive noise outdoors and indoors. And the commission considered this an interesting new use for the business commons, but felt that the input from the township planner and engineer might be necessary to address the traffic, parking, and circulation concerns, which we assumed would be similar to child care drop-off. The access to the property is shared by other tenants, 3 as a matter of fact. And there was also concern about entrance and exit congestion. Our recommendation is to support the use as it will be a benefit to the business community, provided all traffic, parking, and circulation questions can be answered satisfactorily. We had interesting public comment from a business owner, Jennifer Mink, who leases space on the 2nd floor of 642 Newtown Yardley Road with 16 employees. She sought planning advice on a recently installed vent pipe 10 feet tall, which will be discharging exhaust of benzene and alcohol for a research lab tenant. The discharge will be outside her office window, and she was unsure whether this has approved exhaust system and safe for her employees. The pipe is not yet operational. Our solicitor advised Ms. Mink to contact the township manager and to ask for help to address her concerns. That basically concludes my report. If there's any questions, I'll try and answer them.
Questions for Mr. Fiddler? Okay.
None. Very good.
Can I just
Yeah.
say something? I mean, there's lots of amenities that are nice to have in the Newtown Commons area where there's luxury doggy motel, is daycare is going to be. It's not really, they're asking for a lot of variances. And I went over there to the parking lot. I mean, they're claiming like a 30-second drop-off average time for their dogs. And they mentioned like stopping at the curb and bringing dog in and then going back out. But there's no curb there. They're all just vertical or perpendicular parking spots. And, I was just wondering if all those spots were taken up by people. To go there, to drop off your car, you have to go into one of those parking spots. And I don't know if all those spots would be taken up, but I'm just wondering how people make a U-turn if those spots are full to get out of that area. So I went over there and tried to do that, and it was pretty hard, except if there were empty stalls there. It maybe needs to be something to remove one of those parking spots, so when people are trying to get out, if it's real crowded, they can make a U-turn to get out. But I don't think the 30-second estimate is really something doable. But the other issue is how to make the Newtown Commons a more desirable locations for different kinds of businesses. I think that's what you are trying to do. And I know we talked about this before, to somehow get together and plan a new zoning for that light industrial area, which seems very 20th century. I don't know if we're going to attract light industrial businesses. What we want to attract are maybe more high technology businesses and so on, and people who can afford a luxury doggy daycare and provide a lot of income for the township. So I'm just curious as to, I hope that we begin to discuss that process for how to reimagine the business commons, the LI district, because it doesn't seem to be moving along and getting the kinds of tenants that we would like to have there. That's my comments.
Good point. And I think that is an issue that Mr. Oxley is taking up. As we know, changing zoning isn't an overnight success. It takes a lot of work, a lot of legalese and so on. So that's something that hopefully we'll be able to do in the future. Question for you, Alan, on the doggy daycare. Does that entranceway go around path and in the back of like Bay Links Golf and so on? So they do have an exit. If they were to come in, they can get out around the building?
Yes, they do share an exit between themselves and.
I'm sorry, some people have their microphones on. If they could just mute themselves. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, they do share a common driveway with the adjacent property owner. Again, some of the questions that the commission had raised was, what about the existing or future tenants that, may have a parking requirement that exceeds what exists today? And I would think the landlord is going to have to be very careful about what kind of tenants would be included in the other three spaces if this intensive activity morning and night takes place as the applicant suggested it would. There was concern that we did not feel that 30 seconds was an adequate drop off or pickup time. And the fact that if it doesn't work at 30 seconds, what impact does that have on the other patrons and the other tenants? That is one of the reasons why we thought that the township engineer or planner should talk to the applicant before they go to the zoning hearing board, because I think really the township has to weigh in as to what the applicant should have to do if this use is permitted, that protects the other tenants as well as the neighbors that will be using the public streets on both angles.
Also, what about the other businesses in the area? My concern is just there is a daycare across the street. Not that a dog is going to get loose, but you have about 50 dogs out there at playtime barking. It could, disturb the children. But have you gotten an okay from all the surrounding businesses that they're fine with this establishment?
They did not offer any evidence that they had contacted the tenants in the surrounding neighborhood. One comment that did come out of the Planning Commission is if you look at the two childcare, actually 3 childcare facilities within the commons, most of them have an entrance and exit, basically a loop by which people can drop off children at the front door, not necessarily having to park in a parking field to cross the traffic to get their children into the facility. And again, I don't know how much similarity a doggy hotel would have with childcare, but it is, in my opinion, it does generate a significant amount of traffic at morning and evening when there could be a lot of competition for traffic on the streets.
Any other questions for Alan?
Yeah, I did have a question for Alan. I see that your recommendation is to support the doggy days, but how procedurally what's the procedure of them getting, I'm assuming they're on the zoning hearing board for next week, February 4th. Maybe that's
Dennis, let me chime in here, Mr. Chairman. They have written to the township and requested a continuance of the zoning hearing board in February. They are right now on the March zoning hearing board meeting. So, and this matter is also under my report as part of the zoning hearing board matters. My recommendation is that we postpone discussion until they come back and address traffic, parking, and circulation questions raised. And this will be on the second Board of Supervisors agenda in February for further discussion.
Very good.
Does that answer your question, Dennis? Or
Yes, thank you. Thank you both.
anything else for Mr. Fiddler? Yes, John.
One other point about that benzene vent, Mr. Lewis, do you have an update on what's the situation there?
I have no update. We will not be issuing a CO until the issues are worked out between the tenant and the landlord.
So this research lab that's doing research with the benzene, which I think is a rocket fuel, is that a permitted use in the business commons?
The lab is, yes. The stack is built to code, and but what had happened was that we told the building inspector, told the landlord that they better get in touch with all the tenants if they were going to construct this thing, and have some discussions and some communication to see if there's any concerns, which apparently didn't take place. So now those discussions are starting to be had, and hopefully there can be an amicable resolution before we issue the CO.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if nothing else for Mr. Fiddler, I think, Alan, you're done for the evening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good week and stay warm.
You
Yeah,
too.
thanks, Alan. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next reports from board members. The only thing that I'd like to report is that on the 22nd, we did have an executive session, and it was to discuss litigation. That's all I have. I'll go to Mr. Fisher.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been mentioning the Finance Committee's work last couple of weeks, last couple of meetings, and just something to add. In the process of seeking to get on tonight's agenda, we had a suggestion that we have the Finance Committee come and talk to us at the next work session. So that way they have a little bit more time to talk to us, and we could have some give and take. So that's what we're planning on doing right now. And other than that, I just wanted to echo what Mr. Calabro said in his call to order that, we just be kind to each other. A little kindness goes a long way. I was at the food bank this morning, and this is what brought it to mind. I was at the food bank this morning, and a gentleman, in way of saying expressing his gratitude, just gave us the story of how a giant redwood tree can grow from a small seed. And likewise, a little act of kindness can go a long way and affect a lot of lives positively. So just keeping that in mind.
Yeah,
But-
thank you, Dennis. Very nice. Mr. Mack.
Yes, I have a couple of things. I'm supposed to be a liaison with the Council Rock School Board, and on January 18th, I met with school board members Ed Tate and Kristen Marcel, Mr. Tate and Ms. Marcel, as well as Miriam McKee, who was unable to attend this meeting, represent Newtown School District. So we decided that the Council Rock School Board meets every first Thursday of the month, and very limited in attendance. They're live meetings, so I'm not able to really attend those meetings. So these three school board members have agreed to meet with me after those meetings, and if there's anything to discuss of interest between us. And I just want to just review what we did discuss. One issue was about how the township and the schools interact, and a major factor there is the Newtown Police Force. And I was told that the school resource officer, Renee Hurst, was very well liked and respected by students, and that she was very effective in her role. They wanted us to know that. And they also reported that the Newtown Police responded to a couple of incidents recently, but we didn't get into any details about that. One major news item from them is that they are planning to have a full 5-day in-person school schedule for middle and high school students starting in February. Hopefully, they'll see that process come to fruition. I did mention that Mr. Lewis did receive permission from the property manager, I guess, to use school facilities for summer camp. And just for your information, Mr. Tate is chair of the Council Rock Facilities Committee, so he can give us any updates on that. The third thing I just mentioned was our property tax increase, and how some of the residents have been worried about Council Rock also raising their property taxes. And I was told that the budget for the school system is at early stages, because their fiscal year, I believe, begins in July, possibly. So they're not ready to understand what the future will bring as far as that's concerned. So that's my report from them. And the other issue that I just wanted to talk about a little bit is the Environmental Advisory Council. You recall that they want to sponsor a Audubon, Bucks County Audubon Society Free Birds and Climate Change webinar. And we discussed this at the last meeting, and they would like the township to help promote this webinar, which will take place in March. I talked to Mr. Lewis and Amy Easterly, the chair of the EAC, and we decided that the best option would be to have this webinar as a special meeting of the EAC, which can be promoted on the township website via all the parks and rec department online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and email blasts, since it will be an official EAC meeting. They have not yet developed a flyer and the wording for any kind of promotion that they would like the township to do. And so they contacted the Audubon Society. We haven't heard back from them yet. So as soon as I know more, I'll let you know. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mack. The school board meetings, are they via Zoom at the moment?
No, they're live meetings. And
Okay. Are they recorded or on the television channel?
I didn't ask about that. Possibly,
I
but
think they might be. Yeah, maybe something you
Pretty
want.
sure they're televised.
Yeah, just in case you miss something, you can always go back and watch it. So, okay.
sure.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first Veterans Committee of 2021 is tomorrow night, 7 o'clock via Zoom. Hopefully we'll have something good to report out of that. And to remind everyone out there, we are still looking for 3 more members to that committee. So you can reach out to the township if you're interested. On the community outreach side, the Newtown Rotary, in conjunction with the Temperance House, is collecting food for the Wrightstown Food Pantry. You can drop food off at the Temperance House. Also,
What are they looking for? Is there anything in particular?
there's actually, if you go to the Newtown Rotary Club's Facebook page, there's a list. Or if you go to Penn's Park Church, I forget the name of the church. Penn's Park.
Penn's Park United Methodist, I think.
That's it, United Methodist. Thank you. Couldn't remember which denomination it was. They have a list there too. I don't have it on me. Sorry about that. And also, there's a fundraiser for Cub Scout Pack 20 tomorrow at Mod Pizza in Newtown. If you give them a code from the flyer that's also on the Newtown Rotary Club Facebook page, they donate portions to Cub Scout Pack 20, which Newtown Rotary sponsors. That's why I'm aware of it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oxley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From the EDC, it will be a memo that was reviewed by our solicitor that I will send out to all of you tomorrow that has recommendations for certain parts of the Newtown Business Commons that there's different zoning recommendations that I'd like to be able to provide to all of you to review so that we can have a discussion on. As Mr. Mack mentioned earlier, a part of the process that we've been going through with the EDC is to try and find ways to make Newtown more attractive for businesses to come in. So as far as the doggy daycare business, it sounds like some businesses are looking to take advantage of Newtown and what we have to offer, and that's exciting. But we also have to find ways to make it better for businesses to flourish. So part of the rezoning, that recommendations from the EDC will be presented to you tomorrow via email that you'll be able to review and we can have discussion on at our next meeting. On another note, I wanted to touch on something that my son received an email. I think a lot of the Council Rock high school students, whether north or south, received emails. It was a hack or something of that nature, of some pretty disparaging information. I believe there was one of Hitler's speeches and so forth. As to piggyback on Mr. Fisher about kindness, I think based upon a conversation I had with a resident today, what are we doing in terms of teaching our kids? It's important that we remember that. We have a very wonderful community, but some folks around us are all worshiping different, come from different backgrounds, and we need to be mindful of that. And if something is being distributed through high school emails, I know there's an investigation going on, but we as parents or grandparents, uncles, aunts, it's important that we try and send the right message to our young people, because being kind is important, but hate is something that spreads even faster. And we need to be mindful of that if we want our world, our community to be one of peace. I have a call out to Andy Block. We're tentatively scheduled to speak on Friday. He is the school board president. And we'll discuss that, not just as a parent, but also as a member of this community and a representative of this township, of how we can fix these things, because it's important that we move forward in the right direction, especially after the tumultuous 2020 we've had. And we want to make sure this year is one of prosperity and of peace. So that's just my comments. But that's all I have to report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Mack, maybe that's something that you could touch on with the school board when you meet them, and just to see what their feed is on that. you know.
Right. I thank Mr. Oxley for mentioning that. I don't know if Mr. Oxley mentioned that this was a result of a hacking of a student's email account. And, I just remind everybody that you need to make sure you have strong passwords on your account. And it's unfortunate that this happened. I know that there's been a petition from students to Mr. Frazier about other incidents, and asking that the school, do more to educate students in diversity and acceptance of, different people. So I will talk to them next time I meet with them about this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Shankman, are you out there somewhere?
Yes, I am.
I just had a quick question, just to piggyback on what Mr. Oxley will be presenting to the board in regards to the Economic Development Committee suggestions. Do you think that there's some sort of process that this should go through to the Planning Commission, maybe have our planner review it? Also, you as the solicitor, I mean, I just wanted your input because this is something that eventually may have to go through the jointure if we're making any kind of major changes.
Yeah, I think that ultimately you're right, but I did see Mr. Oxley's memo this afternoon, and there's some good ideas there for sure. And certainly there are points that have to be addressed, but certainly we should get the Planning Commission involved and our planner as well, so we know exactly where each of these places impacts our zoning. And also there's some expertise at the County Planning Commission that can also be involved in that, because no doubt what we're trying to do with the business comments has been done elsewhere. There's a lot of outdated zoning all over the Commonwealth, if not all over the country. And some places are way ahead of us in redoing. It's called new urban technology, that kind of thing. So certainly we should get those people involved. And we have discussed it at the Planning Commission already. I know that Alan and Michelle went down to one of the EDC meetings, and I think we're going to be inviting representatives of the committee to come and speak with us, although some of those people are on our Planning Commission already. But we need to have, some kind of formal interaction so we know and have a plan.
Okay, great, thanks. Thank you for your input there. Okay, I guess moving right along, we have no land development. Reports of officials, no engineers report tonight. That brings us to the solicitor's report. Mr. Sander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Shankman, for your input on that potential changes to the LI/OLI zoning. Appreciate that. First item is a tabled motion from the last meeting regarding a motion was made by the board to contribute to Eagle Ridge's legal fees for the Arcadia matter. The matter was tabled. In order to discuss this matter this evening, there needs to be a motion to remove that matter from the table. That has to be seconded and voted on. If that motion passes, then the matter can be discussed and potentially brought for a vote. If it does not pass, then this matter will remain on the table. So, Mr. Chairman, it'd be appropriate to call for a motion to remove the matter from the table.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I have a motion to remove the matter from the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, just so we can discuss this, I think.
Okay.
Well, we just
Well,
need to limit
we
discussion
have to
to
get
this
it-
motion,
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Thank
not the substantive issue.
you. Okay.
Okay. Is there any discussion from the board on this this motion? Again, to move the tabled motion.
Correct.
I think it's something we should consider. I think we should use every arrow in our quiver to try and prevent something we think is a bad idea going into that area.
Well, this is in regards to the legal fees. So you're saying
That's what I'm
that,
saying. I'm thinking that's an arrow in our quiver we should consider using.
okay. Anyone else? Now, in case that, in the case that this is a removing a tabled motion, is the public
Well,
allowed on this
This
conversation?
this is a procedural motion, Mr. Chair. It's not a substantive motion. So I would request that you call for a vote on this. If the motion passes, the substantive discussion will certainly involve public comment.
Okay. And just as a formality, a yay vote means what?
A yay vote means the issue is taken off the table and is now before the board again for discussion and possibly action. A no vote means that the matter remains on the table and does not get further discussed tonight.
Okay,
May I have a point of order?
sure.
In terms of if we leave it on the table, we can come back to it at any time.
It would, yes, it would have to be brought up by a board member under old business in order to come back before the board,
And if
if it
we,
remains on the table.
if we take it off the table and vote on it and it fails, then can we come back at a future time and present it again?
Yes, that would be not old business anymore. However, it'd be under new business, but certainly any board member's free to bring any issue back to the board that it wishes.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
everyone understand? Okay, so I'll call the question. All those, oh, I'm sorry, did someone say something? No. All those who would like to take this motion off the table, say aye.
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 Those who would like to keep it on the table, nay.
Nay.
Nay,
Nay.
okay. So, Mr. Sander, it remains on the table until further motion is taken. To take
Correct,
it off the table, basically.
correct.
Okay,
Correct, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is a request from Newtown Walk for the township to accept dedication of a portion of Newtown Yardley Road as part of the Newtown Walk development. We have prepared a resolution accepting that dedication. The engineer has approved the legal description and plan attached to that resolution, and it would be appropriate if the board is of a mind for a motion to adopt the resolution accepting the right-of-way of Newtown Yardley Road into dedication.
okay, do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any questions from the board on this matter? From the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next item on our agenda is authorization for the solicitor to sign a stipulation to agree with the Wiltshire Walk Homeowners Association in their effort to have $1,000 released by the Bucks County Prothonotary, which has been held since 2010, since early 2010, as part of a petition filed by the Homeowners Association challenging the township's enactment way back when in 2009 of an ordinance vacating a portion of Upper Silver Lake Road. I placed this on the agenda because I asked to have it placed on the agenda because I had discussion with Wiltshire Walk's Homeowners Association's counsel, who requested the township agree to this. I did follow up with him today and ask him a few questions, such as whether Wiltshire Walk was abandoning its effort to challenge this ordinance, and if so, whether it would agree to settle, discontinue, and end this case. I did not hear back from the solicitor to the Wiltshire Walk Homeowners Association. So at best, I would recommend, if the board is of a mind to make a motion to authorize me to sign the stipulation to agree that the prothonotary can release $1,000 conditioned on a precipice to settle, discontinue, and end the lawsuit being filed prior to me signing that stipulation.
Okay, and if they want to continue this lawsuit, I guess the
We're not going to sign it.
$1,000, okay, and the $1,000 will remain with the protonotary.
Prothonotary, exactly.
Yeah.
I assume it was money that they had to post as a bond when they challenged the ordinance back then. I only saw the original petition. I didn't see any petition for bond, but they did post this as security for their petition way back when.
Okay. Okay, do I have such a motion authorizing the solicitor to sign a stipulation for the release of $1,000 to Wilkshire Walk Homeowners Association?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions from the board on this matter?
did I hear you say, Mrs. Solicitor, that this was from 2009? Did this lawsuit originated in 2009?
Correct.
Okay.
It was, nothing happened on it until 2012. The court sends out every 2 years, if there's no activity on a docket, it sends out a notice of termination. It was kept alive by Wiltshire Walk in 2012, and that's the last thing that we know happened on the docket. So I'm hoping it's been terminated, but until I get that confirmation, I'm not going to sign anything because I don't want the money released if there's still a case going on.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? From the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Final item is the three zoning hearing board applications. As I advised the board earlier, the Doggy Days Canine Resort Luxury Pet Hotel is undergoing some further examination by the applicant based on planning commission questions. So there's no need to take any action on that. I would hope that they would return to the planning commission. They don't have to, but I think the board will be looking for them to address the planning commission's concerns in some way and at least let the board know how they've done that before taking action at your second meeting in February. There are two other residential applications. I had summarized them in a memorandum to the board, and I was wondering whether the board wanted to authorize any action to oppose or otherwise take a position on them.
Any questions?
The planning commission recommended that we not oppose them, right?
That's correct.
I have a question on the Michael and Cynthia French. And looking at that application, the approved impervious surface is, I believe, 12%, which was increased to 18 at one time, and now they want to go to 25. Well, that's double the original from 12 to 25, a little bit more than double. Is there any hardship in this as to why they want to increase a second time? Usually when we get something before us that is increased the second time, I don't know, it's like you're kind of going to the well one time too many. But in this case, not that I would want to send the solicitor to the zoning hearing board, but is there any kind of letter or something that can be written to the zoning hearing board in regards to again, I'll say the doubling of the impervious surface?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The board's options with regard to zoning hearing boards are to authorize us to attend, our office to attend and oppose an application, to take no action at all, or certainly if a majority of the board is of a mind to authorize us to write a letter of concern to the zoning hearing board with regard to an application and or request that certain conditions, if appropriate, be attached to any approval that the zoning hearing board might give. So if the board wishes to discuss that in this case and take action to authorize such a letter, that would be appropriate.
Well, again, I know that this was approved by the the planning commission, but I don't know if it was adequately looked at and noticed that they're going from basically 12 to 25. I mean, I'll just, again, I wouldn't want to send you, I'd like for you to write something, but I'll ask the board. That's just my opinion. I'll go around the horn. Dennis?
Yes, I did notice there was a hardship, that there was one of the family members had a medical condition, that
But
the,
is a medical condition a hardship for increasing the impervious surface for your swimming pool? Listen, I understand medical hardship, but I'm just looking at it in a different light. And,
Sure.
if this makes the person healthier, then sure, I have to say, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor. That's all.
and is there any way to reduce the amount of impervious addition? And the only thing I would add is that letters, I didn't see any letters from the neighbors or the HOA, if there is an HOA there. Other than that, I
If
think.
I'm not mistaken,
Say there was
yeah,
enough.
I'm not in favor of sending a letter or a solicitor. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Alan said that this dwelling predated the zoning ordinance. And 25% doesn't seem heinous to me. There's a lot worse in this township than that. And I wouldn't want to deny them getting a pool put in.
Sure. John?
I have no objection.
David?
No objection, Mr. Chairman.
Mary, is there something you wanted to add?
Well,
Yeah, I noticed Mary's hand was raised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There she goes.
I just wanted to say that at the planning commission, they did have letters that they didn't officially submit from their neighbors supporting them. And they purchased the house already at that impervious, which predates the ordinance. When the ordinance was adopted, it said 12%, but the house was already at 18%.
Okay, so they're not the original, they're
Not the original owners, they're recent owners.
Okay, but it's okay. I won't. be
I'm a member
I'm
of the
not-
planning commission, that's why I'm butting in.
I'm not belaboring it. So Dave, no action necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that concludes our report this evening.
Thank you. Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General fund balance as of this evening is $1,818,488. Plan expirations before the board with no action required. We have Chief Forsyth here to give the ESD report. Evening, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to report on the month of December. We had 118 calls of service. They included 1 building fire, 5 dwelling fires, 6 service calls, 73 EMS calls, 4 good intent calls, 29 fire alarms. Emergency services conducted 64 fire safety inspections in the township and 5 in the borough. Our highlighted event was that we assisted Pendle Fire Company on a dwelling fire on DeHaven Avenue in Pendle Borough. The other thing I'd like to touch on is effective January 1st, the Fire Association has elected their new officers. I'm happy to say that Brian Gerhardt will be our deputy chief. Roy LaRosa will be a battalion chief. Liz Ellis will be a battalion chief. So if there's anything the Fire Association can do to assist the board, we're more than happy to get out there and give you a hand. The only other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, on the bills list, there was a $50 bill for Vickers. That is to reapply for the SAFER grant for the 2020 money that's now it's going to be available on February 8th. But we need to spend $50 to have them reissue the application. And that will conclude my report.
Questions for the chief? John?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The SAFER grant, I know we've gotten several comments from residents wanting to know why grant the first go around was not accepted. Did you get any feedback that might help you improve the grant application? Or are you planning to make any changes to improve it, to better position ourselves to get that grant?
Well, I think there'll be slight changes made as far as our responses go. But the main issue that we were told, because we were denied, was the fact that FEMA changed the allocation. If you remember last year, there was a 75% offset. And FEMA, due to the pandemic, made every grant 100% whole for FEMA. And that is their recommendation for this term of application also. So the money didn't go as far as they projected. That's why there was a lot of grants. There was only one grant for staffing awarded for Bucks County, and that was Warminster. So we're hoping, we're keeping our fingers crossed that this year will be successful in obtaining the grant.
So basically, there's a lot of competition and less funds because they're going to be fully funding the applications, I guess.
Correct.
Another question I had, now that you are the head of both the ESD, Newtown Emergency Services, and the Newtown Fire Association, in the future, will we be getting these monthly reports that cover the activities of both the NFA and ESD?
Yes, you will.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the chief? Okay, thanks, chief. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more thing under my report real quick. It looks like the summer camps for this year for the Park and Rec Department are a go. As Mr. Mack had said, we finally got an approval from the school board to use their facilities to house these camps. Obviously, we don't have the facilities that they have to be able to do that. So as of right now, summer camps are a go, and check the Park and Rec page for information on that and future information coming up. That's all I have.
Great, that's good news. Thank you. Move on to minutes, bills, list, and reports. Mr. Mack.
Okay, I move that we approve the minutes of the January 13, 2021 Board of Supervisors meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any questions from the board on the minutes? From the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay, I move that we approve the payment of our bills according to the bills list dated January 27, 2021, totaling $150,423.91.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion is second. Do I have any questions on the bills list?
I have two minor questions. On page 2, there's a $1,345 charge for the monthly subscription payable to Crime Watch. I think that's really a yearly subscription. Is that correct?
I believe so. I don't have the purchase order in front of me, so I can't.
Right, because I've seen only one such charge made in January 2020 for the same amount. So I'm assuming it's a.
Yeah, it looks like a yearly charge.
Yeah, thank you. The other thing on page 9, just for clarification, there were various lease payments for public works equipment and trucks, such as $13,000 odd for a dump truck. Now, I see that we made at least 4 such payments in 2020, totaling over $52,000. And this year's budget calls for the quote unquote purchase, I thought, of a new dump truck. And that cost was $41,300. There's something wrong with the numbers. I guess it's not really a purchase. Are we purchasing a dump truck this year, or are we leasing a new one?
We have existing leases on equipment that we're paying off. That's what you see on the bills list. This year, yes, the plan would be to purchase a dump truck and lease the payments over 3 years, as we have previously done.
Well, is it a purchase or a lease?
It's a lease purchase. It's actually called a lease purchase.
I guess I don't understand what that means, but it's,
We have the option to purchase it after the lease has been completed. Is that true, or?
No, essentially, it's a no cost loan. It's essentially a loan. It's the same thing, but it has no escalation on the price of the loan. If
But,
that
but
makes sense.
after, I'm just trying to,
After we pay it off, it's ours. It's the township's.
okay, well, that's how I pay my car. After I
Correct.
pay it off, it's
Same
mine.
thing. Yep.
Okay,
Same thing.
but I'm not leasing it. I'm paying
Right.
it off.
It's a bank term of lease
Okay.
purchase
All right.
instead of a loan.
Gotcha.
so great. We're spreading out the payments and being fiscally responsible. you might
That's
say.
correct. Instead of paying $180,000 this year, we've budgeted $40,000 for that dump truck.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the bills list? From the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay, finally, I move that we approve the interfund transfers totaling $377,885 and no cents, as per the bills list of January 27, 2021.
Gotcha. Have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second again.
Motion is second on the funds transfer. Any questions from the board? From the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Passes 5-0. That's it, Mr. Mack? Okay, thank you. Second session of public comment. Anyone that has public comment, please raise their hand. And again, it's comment, not question and answer. Mr. Gold.
All right, can you see me? We're good?
You're
I can't
on.
come on here. I can't come on here with you, Phil, and debate. No, I'm just playing with you.
We'll
All
do
right,
it
so,
another
all right, well, how's everybody doing tonight? Good. Okay, cool. Couple things. First off, I just want to put the Eagle Ridge community would like to invite those of you who would like to join us over here to where the Arcadia build is supposed to be, because we would like to actually walk you through personally and explain to you our concerns in person over here at the church. So that is open on the table directly to the Board of Supervisors. If any of you guys would like to come join us, we would like to invite you guys out here. Next thing is our talk of, I still want to figure out a way to get some social media out here for the Board of Supervisors. I know we had discussed some of that, but I want to keep putting that in your ear that we should get a Board of Supervisors page and maybe a group page. And I would love to help with that, just so we can get that out there in the community, because I think you guys really do need that. The last thing I want to touch on, which I'm not sure if it's going to get touched on yet, but it might be, is I got an email from Micah saying that we were supposed to be talking about tonight a township business relationship liaison position. And that was supposed to be something that the board was going to discuss tonight in order to assign a member of the board as a liaison to meet with businesses throughout the township. And I would love to be the direct assistant to that person when it comes to this position. I've met with 12 businesses since the last Board of Supervisors meeting, and I've kind of given them an idea of what I wanted to do. And I kind of went back to a few of them and I gave the idea of what Micah had mentioned to me last week. And all 12 are on board with the fact that they would love to be able to take their opinions, and they would love to take their thoughts, and they would love for that to be brought back to the township. And I know we were supposed to be discussing that tonight. I'm not sure if that is on the table for after I'm done talking or whatever, but I would love to be the direct assistant to the person who will be appointed the liaison to that. If you guys do vote on that, hopefully 5-0, yay. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, it is on, as a matter of fact, under new business. But do we have any old business right now? Okay, we'll get to the new business. As Mr. Gold has said, we created a new liaison position called the Township Business Relationship Liaison. And what this will do, this person will be the point person Mr. Gold can assist, but again, the supervisor will be the spokesperson in regards to bringing back information to the Board of Supervisors, either to be discussed or something that we can do to help the business community. That liaison position, I'd like, if he would like to accept it, I'd like to appoint it to Mr. Kyle Davis. Kyle, are you willing to take up this cause?
Yeah, I am. I think it's a great idea and I would love to. Thanks.
You're welcome. I think, I don't know, Mr. Sanders, since this is a new liaison position, do we need some sort of guidelines to the position? Is that appropriate, or?
Well, we don't have anything for this evening.
Well, right, I understand.
Yeah, if the board wants to work with Mike and I to put together some guidelines for this position, that's fine. I believe at each reorganization meeting, the board does make a motion to approve all of its various liaison appointments. So
No, that's incorrect. The
oh, it is? Okay, I
liaison
apologize.
positions are appointed by the chair, so.
Okay,
that-
I
that's why
apologize.
I
Then no
see-
actions required tonight.
Okay, so in
My bad.
appointing, I mean, it's no different than being the liaison to any other committees. It's just that this will be like a sole function of Mr. Davis.
Understood.
Okay,
No problem. Yep.
all right. Any questions from the board on this, or?
Yeah, I had a quick question. I mean, we can all help out with this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So to the extent we have good relationships with the business owner, and I mean, I have some favorite businesses that I go visit all the time.
Yeah.
And I haven't really ever told them I'm a supervisor, and wasn't talking officially, but yeah, I think we can all have part of it.
No, yeah, it would be no different than if somebody is a liaison to the planning commission. That doesn't mean any of us are excluded from it. We all can. So, if you wanted, but Kyle will be the person that you would call if you want to ask to go help him or go around. Kyle again would be the liaison to that position, the new township business relationship liaison. Congratulations, Kyle.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, KD. Well deserved,
Thank you.
buddy.
I had something that may be related to this, if might be part of the function of this person, Kyle's function. I had a conversation with Jude Martin Chianfano, who's the Director of Events and Membership at the Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce. And she would like to know who to confirm as the official liaison with the Chamber of Commerce. And maybe I thought, at least one board member should be attending they have these government committee meetings once a month.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of supervisors are invited, and I think it'd be a good idea to have a much closer relationship with the Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce, because lots of times when I get to interact with business owners and leaders is when they have these ribbon cuttings.
Mhm.
And able to attend the ribbon cuttings. I don't know now with the COVID-19, they're going to be doing much of that. But also the Newtown Business Association does some ribbon cuttings as well. So
Right. We usually get notifications. of
just
that.
so, you might be able to get back to the Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce and talk to Jude about this.
Well, you're right. I think we all can attend anytime that there is some function there. But I think that our previous point person on this was Mr. Oxley. He did give a nice spiel at the last one that I saw that was quasi live and on Zoom. So I would think that since he is the liaison to the Economic Development Committee, that maybe if he would like to continue being the point person to the Lower Bucks Chamber, that would be my suggestion.
I second that suggestion.
That would be fine with me.
Well,
right.
that's
That'd be fun.
great. She would like to be able to, call you from time to time or email you. So
She has my number.
she
I've
does.
spoken to her many times. Mhm.
Great. Okay. Good business.
Fantastic.
Okay, Mr. Sandler, any need for an executive session?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So without objection, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Very good. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have
Good
a great
night.
great
Well, good night,
weekend.
everybody.
Good
Take
night,
care now.
everybody.
Bye-bye.